All right, so I've taken the tinny down to Tassie, and that motor there, the little 2 horsepower Yamaha, which I love, it's only 10 kilos. It's a little ripper, starts first time every time. It doesn't have a boat to go on at the moment, so I'm going to put it in a storage. They say if you're storing one of these outboards for more than 2 months, you should drain the fuel from it. So I'm going to do that. And just a little trick, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but here I am in the galley of my boat with it, and I don't want to spill fuel anywhere. I'm in a really well ventilated area, and I'm just going to decant that fuel back into its original tank. So I'll just set it up, and you'll see my little trick. Here we go. Okay, first you make sure the vent's open and it's not under pressure, and you remove the cap. This is just held in by a spring, which if you hold it nice and tightly, that'll come out. Not the easiest job to do when you're doing it one-handed. Getting pretty good at this sort of stuff. And sorry, just had to pull that tight. Okay, so now we grab that, and it goes straight on here. Bet you didn't know that. Just got to, it's a bit loose, so we just got to make sure we tighten it right down tight. And that's on pretty good. All right. Now we're ready to decant that back into this. Cool, hey? Only goes slowly because there's no real vent for it, but it is working, and I'm not spilling a drop. How good's that? I think while I'm at it, I'll take the opportunity to pull the cowling off and just check the fuel lines. Now that I've seen that little bit of contamination, I just want to make sure there's nothing in the clear fuel lines. And the carby, make sure that's drained completely, and we'll make a start on that. Basically it's just a number of these little screws come off, 1, 2, and then you've got a few more around here, so I'll get to work on them and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Well, I'm glad I decided to take this cowling off because I've run into a bit of a problem. These this one and the corresponding one on the other side is just in really tight, so tight in fact it's busted the tip off my screwdriver. And I use this one because it's nice and long and gives me lots of leverage, and it fit nicely in the screw, and now it's broken it. The other one's just the same on the other side. They're quite long stainless bolts, if you can see those ones in there, and I've got a funny feeling I'm going to have to get the easy outs on them or something else, because I tried an impact driver and that stripped the thread on the other side, or the stripped the head of the bolt. So I'm slowly starting to run out of options. Other than that, it's all undone, so it shouldn't take too much to get it off. But yeah, it's just this one and the one on the other side. I'll give it a bit of a spray with something, but that's not going to get in where I need it to penetrate to. Anyway, I'll have to think about this one. I've taken the cover off here, and it turns out they're only little. So it's this one here, and it only goes around into here, wherever I am. There. So I'll give it a spray with some inox or something like that. Same on that side. That's the culprit, but I cannot get them out for the life of me. So I'll give them a spray. I may have to drill them out. We'll soon see. Righto, that's one bit off. I might have cracked it. I've got plenty of lanolin on it, and I think if I just jiggle it back and forth, I'm getting just, I know the vice grips are moving, but pretty sure the actual bolt is starting to move. So I'll just keep doing this gently until I get it out, hopefully. Okay, so we know we're draining the fuel out, and then we're just going to take these covers off and away we go. But unfortunately, that saying has kicked in. You know, the one that says the difference between a 3-minute job and a 3-day job is one broken bolt? I loved this screwdriver. It seems the longer a screwdriver is, the more torque you can get on it, and they just seem to work really, really well. But it's, you know, it's lost the battle today to the Yamaha. So I've run out of drill bits. Yes, cheap drill bits, but still, I should be a better operator on this, shouldn't I? So I'm going to get some new drill bits, which will help, and we'll just drill out the guts of this and do the same thing as we did on the other side with the vice grips. Once that's done, probably tomorrow, we'll carry on with the preparation for storage. Yamaha 1, drill bits 0. So, after breaking a million drill bits and punching holes all through my cowling, I went out and bought a $70 set of Cobalt drill bits. And they say that it's really good for stainless steel and things like that. So hopefully, you know, you get what you pay for, and these will last a long time. I won't be leaving them on the boat, they'll stay in the troopy. And we can always use them here, but that'll be that. And worst case scenario, I bought that as well. This will stay on the boat. I really don't want to use it in this application, because I think if I do, I'll end up snapping one of these off in the bolt. But they are a bloody handy thing to have on a boat. So plan A working so far. Got the head off, got the washers off, and now this should just pull away. Take this side off first, because we know that's been off. It's one. And yes, beautiful. So, all right, we're back to where I wanted to be the other day, which is to just pull this line out and clean it, and then under here we'll drain anything out of the carby. And while I work on the carby and the fuel lines, I'll just give this a real nice drenching in this Lanotech or Lanox, and hopefully let it sit for some time, and then hopefully I'll be able to get that out without it snapping. All in all, the engine looks to be in reasonably good condition. It's a 2016 model, other than the odd bit of corrosion on some of these bolts, I suppose. All right, we'll take this off, drain it, drain this. Okay, that's off. So far so good, that's pretty dry. I think what I'll do here is just tuck that around there for now so it stays up higher. Pretty sure there's no residual fuel in here, but I'm going to undo this and take it right out. There may be a filter here that I can remove, and now I can clean these up. So I might just get a bowl or something to sit under there. Beautiful. And nothing's coming out the thing, so we know that should be nice and empty. Looking at this though, there is a little bit of gunk on it, and it's good to have that little filter there. We can clean that out. Always handy. And we'll flush this line. Now, over to the carby. Yep, okay, I'm going to have to put that little drum back under there. So there is still a bit of fuel in here. Well, there we go. That's good. Good to get just that last little bit out. I might just blow some air through there as well. But you don't want that stuff sitting in your carby for an extended period of time, so it's nice to catch it in here. Doesn't look too bad. So while I've got everything open, I've just given it a good spray of the lanolin spray, which will hopefully just help prevent too much corrosion. There's tiny little bit of rustiness there. Other than that, it's all quite good. I think what I'll do too is, I'm pretty sure this carby's got 2 screws, that one there and that one there, and I might just pull that bowl off just quickly and make sure there's nothing else, no other fuel in there. Just now that I'm here, may as well. I've also just backed this screw off. This is what controls the pressure or the friction on your throttle, and mine kept just dropping away. And you know, when you're out on the boat, you're too busy doing other stuff to go and grab a spanner and fix it, or a screwdriver in this case. So I've backed this right off, given it a good spray and freed everything up, and that's quite good. Lubricated in around this little plunger, and it's all nice and loose, and then once I put the cowling back on, I can tighten this up to suit. Other than that, it's all looking really good. All right, so the float itself that sits inside the bowl looks good. Sometimes they can crack and fill up with fluid, petrol, water, whatever, but that looks good. That's in good order. Everything looks tidy and clean in there, and the bowl of the carby itself did have a little bit of, I mean, I've drained it, but it still has some gunky looking resiny sort of fuel there. Tip it out. A little bit of water maybe as well in amongst that. So good idea to just clean it out, and I'll know it's spotless when I put it back together. Also put a little bit of lanolin grease on all of these little fittings because I'm paranoid about corrosion and things getting bound up now. Just make it all the more easier for the next time. So that now looks nice and clean. Got rid of any of the daggy stuff out of it, and I will just put some lanolin grease in these 2 threads here and the bottom one as well. Down there in that little hole there's a thread as well, just to help lubricate and anti-seize basically. The gasket itself is in good condition too, so I can reuse that, thank goodness, because I haven't got a spare. And the rubber on the hose is good, so yeah, I think we can just put this back together now, and we know that the fuel system is now drained and empty, and it'll be ready to be topped up when I next need to use that engine. All right, carby bowl's on. That was an easy job, 2 screws, and now this little piece is back on, this little filter. I don't need to replace that, it's in good order. This is all good, and we'll throw the little bit of protection around it and put everything back together and put it into storage. And I'm just taking the time while I've got access to remove the spark plug and check it and make sure it doesn't end up seized in there, because that can happen too. Also, in conclusion, that was a bigger job than I thought, which pretty much happens all the time on boats. I still have to get 2 new bolts to go in here, but everything else is all covered in lanolin, and the fuel line is completely empty. Spark plug's been checked. As far as gearbox oil and water pump impeller, I did them not that long ago, so I'm not too concerned about that. And yeah, it'll just have to sit here for now, and it'll be ready to go when I want to whack some fuel in it and put it to work. Hope you might have gained something out of watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks again for watching Down Under Projects.